Hello. Thank you for watching the fifth story of my series of stories I'm doing about my journey through depression and mental health, my journey through surviving my absolutely horrendous decisions that I've made and would continue to make for many years of my life, and that would pretty much kill me on more than one occasion. And then the tail end of coming to the end of myself and finding God there waiting to rescue me. So I'm going to jump right back into this. So in the last story I talked about my terrible time at college and my failure there. And I'm now at the summer of 1996. And I just spent a lot of time sulking over getting kicked out of college because truthfully I was relieved. I hated that school. I hated it. I hated school in general, really. It's just, I was never a good student. I couldn't do it. I don't know what was going on with me, and I do now, but then I didn't. I thought maybe there's just being lazy. I wasn't studying hard enough, but there was just something else going on in my mind apart from my mental health issues. There was a learning disability there that I would not discover until years later. That would definitely explain a lot what was going on. Because frankly, I was intelligent enough, okay? But studying, it just mystified and overwhelmed me. Taking a test, forget about it. I would sit down, I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm ready to start doing this test, and I would just freeze up. I would forget absolutely everything I had learned, everything I studied for. I just couldn't do it. But thankfully, what I was good at, what I excelled at the most in my life, that was going to come to my rescue at that point in my life. It was going to begin to open a whole bunch of doors for me and earn me a whole bunch of accolades and kudos. So, as I said last time, I learned early in life to push myself through pain, push myself through just everything physical. Because, pain for me was a great motivator. I just saw it as one more big monster that I could chop down. I was not going to be beat up by this one more monster in my life. So I looked forward to it. I welcomed the pain. And like a nitwit, I used to brag to people that I loved it. And part of it was true. It was there. But really most of this is coming from teenage angst and more than that, just something going on with a severe mental distress in my mind. So, because the stupid little kid movies they used to make, little Jeremy Jones movies, they were always fraught with peril and danger. We all did our own stunts, obviously, but none more than me. I threw myself off a roof. I was, get kicked in the face all the time in our badly choreographed fight scenes. Sometimes other kids get kicked by my wayward kick, and just to encourage my actors to come back to the next one, I would always add a little saying on their script that would say, remember, pain is temporary, but film is forever. How stupid. One of my Jeremy Jones movies, the second one, was going to involve a sword fight, but I was going to use real machetes because I wanted authenticity. I wanted to look very real because, I did. I tried to doll them up as much as I could, but come on, they're real swords. So one of the actors' mothers, she found this out, and she freaked. And she said, "You're not doing that." She put a stop to it. And, I'm secretly glad that she did put a stop to it now, because I'm telling you right now, we would have lost an appendage for sure. So, all right, so back to my summer of 96 before I'm about to, make a big decision in my life. My dad suggested the military, like I said last time, and I wasted no time pursuing it. I decided on the Marines because I wanted that challenge. But my dad, he's like, nah, rethink that, boy. It's not. He wasn't saying that because he felt it was too hard for me. It was just that my personality was not going to jive with the Marines. And looking back, he was right. There's no way I could have handled that mindset. But he did suggest the Air Force instead. At the time, I felt that was kind of boring. I'm like, Air Force? All right, you're smart. I'll listen to you. So I went down to the Air Force recruiter's office and told him what I was thinking. One of them suggested pararescue to me, which is basically the Air Force's version of the Navy SEALs. I am not saying it's as intense as the Navy SEALs. I'm just saying it's one of their special forces in the Air Force. So I'm like, Heck yeah, I'll do that. That sounds amazing. So I spent that entire summer in 96 just training, getting my body and my mind ready to handle the intense training that was coming my way for the Special Forces. And I'm telling you right now, that regiment was no joke. What I put myself through was intense, but I was committed to it. During that time, I also developed a friendship with my recruiter. I had to stay in contact with him and give him updates on how things were going. And over time, we figured out we both had a huge passion and love for basketball. So he invited me to come play with him and the other recruiters in their games against the other branches recruiters. They always had these super competitive games. And I'm like, that sounds fun. Of course, I'll come play. So as I'm about to tell the next part of this story, I apologize ahead of time if I am perceived as being arrogant or cocky. I promise I'm not Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. I'm just telling you how it was because they're pertinent facts. Because of how badly I was humbled during my time in college with basketball, I didn't set it right with me. I didn't like it. So I really pushed myself to get better and better at basketball. And eventually I did catch up because I eventually found my style, what worked best for me. And that's what I practiced on, was that style. And I did. I got good. Okay, just leave it at that. Basketball was my obsession. I would have a basketball and a pair of sneakers always in my car. So that if I'm driving around, I have to drive past a park, I saw a game going on, and I have anything that was important I need to get to, I would stop and join the games. I did this all the time. I did it for years. I was always doing it. I just loved basketball. I wanted to play every chance I got. So here I am playing in these games with these recruiters, and for whatever part and whatever role I played, we always won. We won pretty much all the games if I can remember correctly. So this earned a lot of respect from my recruiters that they made me one of their own. I wasn't even enlisted yet, but I was one of the gang because I was always hanging out with them. And they went out of their way to help me get prepared for what was coming my way with pararescue. So they were giving me all the help I needed to get ready for it. So at the end of that summer, I was where I needed to be. Let's just say that. I was ready to be qualified. There was nothing holding me back, the physical side. I still needed to take the ASVAB test, which is like the military version of the SATs. No surprise, I didn't pass, at least not to be able to qualify for pararescue. Special Forces people need to be incredibly intelligent, and apparently I ain't. So I was pretty depressed, discouraged. I spent my whole summer training for this one thing, and I failed. I failed yet again. This was a second huge failure in my short adult life. I was so just spun out. Thankfully, my recruiter buddy came to my rescue and suggested I join the security forces, which is the Air Force version of the police. Because I already had a head start with my 1 year of criminal justice in my sophomore year at college, I was a shoo-in. There was going to be no problem whatsoever for me being able to be part of the military police. But he really amped up my intrigue when he explained to me that they're also considered the ground combat force for the Air Force, which is basically the Air Force's version of a Army soldier or a Marine. I'm like, now we're talking, okay. Now, I'm not saying I was as trained or as tough as a Marine or a soldier. I'm just saying that was the Air Force, okay? So all you soldiers and Marines watching this, no offense, don't get all your feathers ruffled. So I had a few more months to get through before I was going to ship out, so I needed a job. The post office invited me to come back for another summer. I did a good enough job last summer that they said, here, we're gonna hire you again, but this time you can deliver mail if you wanted to. Oh, well, this sounds cool. All right, I'll do that. Problem is, my bad habit of just making terrible decisions was starting to catch up with me and starting to become a thing. After about a month of this, of delivering mail, I was getting sick of the fact that I was constantly finishing late because I was having a hard time keeping up with it. It was so much. Most of it was walking. I was not in my little car driving up to a mailbox. It was city walking everywhere, and I just could not get it done in time. So instead of staying late to get my route finished, I would just take everything that wasn't delivered and put it back in the outgoing mail bin, because I knew that the next day it was just going to go back out again. I just figured I'll get another crack at it tomorrow and maybe things will go smoother. Well, unbeknownst to me, this strategy is a big no-no. I was not delivering the welfare checks. So complaints were coming in because those welfare checks had to be delivered at a certain time, and they're not coming. Well, I'm getting ready to go out my route one morning, and my postmaster is like, "Jones, get in here," calls me into his office, and I get in there thinking, okay, what up? I find these two really intense looking federal agents waiting for me at a table. I'm like, okay. So they sit me down, they start grilling me. It was playing out like a TV cop show. Got the bad cop in front of me, pounding on the table, screaming at me, and the good cop on my side is like, "Come on now, just play ball. Tell us what we want to hear, and maybe we can get a reduction time on your jail time." And I'm hearing the word jail keep coming in my ear. I'm getting all panicky. I break down. I start crying. I'm like, no. Let me just tell you what happened. They thought I was stealing the welfare checks. I'm like, no, I'm just lazy. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to work past 5. So I was just taking them back and putting them in the outgoing mail. They bought it because it's true. First of all, it's really what I was doing. And I'm like, oh, all right, this kid's just dumb. So they let me go. Obviously, I was fired. No surprise there. But then I started to think about whoa, wait a minute. Is this going to affect my military? Is this going to be on my record? They assured me, no, you're fine. You can go off to the military. Don't worry about it. So, and they were right. They told the truth, which I'm thankful for that. Not all FBI agents are dirty. So I still needed to, fill the time. It was something cut short when I thought I was going to be working for that summer. So I got a job at Pizza Hut. 2 very major incidents happened in my couple months at Pizza Hut that would absolutely become a pattern in my life. One was I was definitely climbing off the fence. At this point in my life, I was one leg over here acting like a Christian, the other leg acting anything but a Christian. I was like, forget this. I'm just going to start leaning this way. I'm sick of living fake. So I started to hang out with these 2 girls at Pizza Hut. We were friends. I was hanging out with them at the bar. I was still living at home with my parents, but I was sneaking out at night. I was never drinking. I wasn't going to turn 21 until that October. I was just hanging out with them. And nothing ever came from us. There was just friends. But one of the girlfriend's boyfriends thought I was sleeping with his girlfriend. So he waited for me outside of Pizza Hut one night because he was going to beat me up. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you got nothing to worry about. I have no threat to you. We're just hanging out. He believed me and like, all right, fine. You just don't do it again. Interestingly, this would not be the one time that a boyfriend thought I was sleeping with his girlfriend. It would happen again later on down the road, and this was way more intense than this whole Pizza Hut incident, but I'll get to that story a different time. The second incident was I remember watching one of the Pizza Hut waiters just kind of glide through the restaurant delivering pizza to the tables and sodas, and he had this ridiculously goofy grin on his face the whole time. He looked just having the best time of his life. So I go up to him, I'm like, dude, what's up? What's going on with you? And he's like, oh man, I'm tripping on mushrooms. Now, at this point, the only understanding I had of drugs were from stories I heard from other people, movies, and that one little morphine story I told you about in college. But I just was completely enamored how he could function on mushrooms. I didn't seem to line up with the stories I'd heard. He just looked so happy and carefree, and all the while I'm raging inside my brain. There's all this frustration and unexplained angst and things going on, and I'm like, I subconsciously stored that. I stored that away in my brain and would think about it much later. So one last story before I shift out. I don't remember how I stumbled onto this. I found an ad in the newspaper for acting modeling tryouts at the Holiday Inn. I really wanted to find out if my acting failures at college were a fluke or if it's just college itself. So I'm like, I'm going to go to these tryouts. What's the worst can happen? I get there, place is packed, of course, and I'm waiting my turn. I'm watching people try out, and I'm watching them leave. A couple stayed behind, but not a lot. This is a very small group. my turn came. I was required to walk down a runway like a model. And then at the end of it, I was supposed to act out this little Pepsi commercial kind of a thing. And I was told when I was done to stick around. So I'm like, oh, I'm sticking around? So I'm starting to get excited thinking, am I about to break into Hollywood? So at the end of the day, I'm in a small group of people that were sticking around, and each of us get called in to have a one-on-one interview with the casting agent. She told me that they wanted to sign me. My mind goes crazy. That's it. It went off the rails. I'm like, oh my word. I'm thinking I'm going to leave here, head right to my recruiters and say, thanks, but I'm off to Hollywood. I'll send you an autograph. Peace. The lady continues explaining as I'm in my daydream what they're going to do for me. And all that was required of me was to sign the dotted line, probably sign my soul away, and hand over $1,500. This was the Barbizon acting and talent, acting like modeling agency. And they are notorious for being, shady. So I'm like, no, I'm not giving you $1,500. So I leave there completely discouraged. Like, man, what a joke. Oh, well. But and this also was not going to be the last time I tried to break into Hollywood. There was a couple more times coming down the road. So I was like, I encouraged and consoled myself with that. I got the military. I got something to look forward to. And I assumed I was going to, spend my just 20 years there. I would retire. God only wanted 1 year for me in the military, as it turns out. And I will definitely start telling that story next time. My military life was short-lived, that's for sure. So, as always, thank you. Please don't suffer alone if you are suffering with mental health. On my website, there are plenty of links and opportunities for you to get help that you need. Don't waste as much the time that I did, wasting a life just making bad choices. Get the help. But more than that, I encourage you to seek Jesus, to go and read your Bible, to find out who he is, because only he ultimately can heal your problems, heal your wounds, and do the impossible for you. All right, thank you very much. Talk to you next time.